Hey everyone, and welcome to VEDA Day 4. Just got done watching an episode of Stranger Things with my wife. I think it's a Netflix original series. It was pretty interesting. I think it was episode 1. Kind of reminded me of, they have the scene in there where the kids are talking with walkie-talkies, and it just kind of reminded me as a kid. I was always seeing these great movies where kids had really powerful walkie-talkies, but yeah, it's just kind of a weird bill of materials that people get sold, I guess. People really want to believe that walkie-talkies will go really far, and there's just not really the power in it. And so, the way that you might have wondered, well, then how do police walkie-talkies work and all that kind of stuff? Well, what they do is they have a repeater, so they broadcast on one frequency that the repeater listens to, and then the repeater listens on that and then broadcasts on another that the other people, monitoring the situation are listening to. So you can do, I actually have a set of radios that do repeaters with little handheld walkie-talkies. If it's called a GMRS license. It's a really affordable license, doesn't really require any studying, and probably a lot of you have somewhere around the house a GMRS license if you live in the United States or Canada. And I imagine it's still, I don't know if they call it GMRS elsewhere, but there's probably a similar thing elsewhere in the world. So it's a really interesting thing in that you can just, you don't need a lot of training to operate it because they're limited in how much output and power they can put out there. So if you want, you can do more amateur radio kind of stuff, which it's almost a year now that I've had my license. I haven't had enough time to do as much as I've wanted with it. But yeah, hopefully over the winter I'll have a little bit more time. And a lot of the stuff that I'm interested in doing there, they have things called radio telegrams, which are used in disaster scenarios and stuff like that. So I'd like to get good at sending radio telegrams. They're transmitted by volunteers on a volunteer basis, and you can really send a message all over the world. So, maybe if anyone's interested, go put something in the comments, and I'll see about trying to send a radio telegram to you. Let's see. What else is going on? Oh yeah, tonight at 9 o'clock on CNN, the Libertarian candidates for president and vice president had a town hall, and I got to tune into a little bit of that. It was kind of interesting. I was watching via CNN, and I'm one of these people who, I don't know, I think they call them never cables or never cord or something, but it's people who've never really had cable and they're not ever going to get it. Now I have cable broadband and stuff like that, but I just don't subscribe to the TV channels. I've got things like Netflix, as I mentioned, and then broadband. So, and then I also use Skype for all of my phones and that kind of stuff. I have other phones, but they all redirect to Skype. And the nice thing there is, if I forget my phone, just any computer or device with Skype on it or a browser, I can just go to web.skype.com, sign in, and then I can get calls or whatever. So it's pretty interesting, pretty convenient and effective. Yeah, so I'm a cord never kind of consumer, and I'm not really interested in buying cable TV service. But I was watching a bit of the debate on CNN's website, and they give you like a trial of CNN Go, I think they call it. Well, first of all, CNN Go required Flash, which isn't supported by my phone. So, sorry CNN, not going to install Flash for you, and it's not really available on my device right now anyway. But then they also, they had a timer, and at the end of the timer, so I watched for like 10 minutes, and saw some really good stuff. And I was using the Miracast standard to wirelessly display that on my TV, because it actually, when I went to the CNN website, it wasn't supported on my Xbox One either, so even though it uses the Edge browser. So lack of Flash something CNN should probably take a look at. But anyway, I was trying to tune in. I watched for about 10 minutes, and at the end of that, it's like, log in to your television provider, and then they give you a list of TV providers that you could have used. And I'm not going to subscribe to one of those. So anyway, I missed out on some of it, but I checked in on Twitter, and if you look for the hashtags TeamGov, that's a good one. And let's see, I think it was Lib Town Hall was CNN's, which I think people confuse libertarian and liberal. If you like, people, just because libertarian starts out with lib, they want to start out with it and then they want to call it liberal, which kind of means something different in the United States than it does elsewhere in the world. I mean, libertarians are liberals anywhere in the world, and here we tend to call them classical liberals, more like Thomas Jefferson and that kind of thing. But liberal in the United States is kind of, it means generally progressive or a Democrat or someone on the far left, various flavors of leftism. And so it's kind of interesting. It's actually kind of confusing to me because I've got a friend in Australia right now, and they're doing a lot of, libertarian, people with libertarian views are actually winning seats in their major national legislative body. And, I think they're called the Liberal Democrat Party there. So anyway, it's a little far from here. I pay attention a little bit to what he's talking about, but sometimes I don't have the story straight. And the weird thing is that Australians are probably paying, they can probably tell you a little bit more about America's, presidential race than I can about their races. But, Australia isn't, running around telling the United States how to do things. So, hey, there's the train clock again. Yeah, looks like it's 11 o'clock. It's a little late. So what else is going on? I want to wrap this up because it just takes me a while to edit and upload them if I don't keep it short. But yeah, I'm actually kind of wrapping up an interesting period in my life. For the past 6 years, I've worked for the nation's largest online K-12 online charter school, which I joined because I really thought they had an impressive mission and objective, and they really do serve a lot of underprivileged kids and disabled kids, and I've gotten to know a lot of the teachers and a lot of the frontline people, and they really do give their all to try to give these kids an option. They usually end up going to our school after they've kind of had problems at a lot of the other alternatives, and it's kind of a safe landing zone where they can reconnoiter and figure out what they're going to do next. And then oftentimes they move on and they do find a school that's near their home, and they miss going to a school building each day and stuff like that. So sometimes they don't always stay with us for very long, but it's been very rewarding. And there's some other things that I've been asking if I could do, and they weren't priority tasks on my development team. So I decided, in the interest of personal growth, I would go and try and pursue those elsewhere. So it's kind of an interesting situation. I put in my 2-week notice a couple weeks ago, and my last day at my job for 6 years is on Friday, and I've got a big meeting with some friends tomorrow, unrelated to that, on another project I'm working on. So some interesting stuff going on in my life personally, and I don't know, it should make for a kind of interesting VEDA, because I'm going to be starting out at a totally new job, and it sounds like really exciting stuff that I'm interested in, so I'm very excited about it. But it's going to be a lot of changes and a lot of new stuff, so hopefully I don't get distracted on the way to work and accidentally drive to the old place or something like that. That'd be kind of goofy and embarrassing. I've never done that before, but I've also not really changed jobs a lot before. But yeah, it should be a hint. It's the new job is a lot closer, and so seems like a really nice part of town that I haven't really worked in. Is it? I think I mentioned in one of my earlier posts is, you know, I've worked as a consultant a lot, and so I kind of worked pretty much every time I've had a job. I've worked in a different part of town, just enough to kind of drive there every day and get familiar with it, get to know where all the restaurants are, and that kind of stuff. Get to know some of the people in neighborhoods there. Oh yeah, I did want to talk also really quick. I mentioned that there was an election, and in my VEDA 1 video, I kind of outlined some of the things I thought were good about the proposed ballot amendment, or a ballot issue that was a charter amendment in the city of Columbus, and that issue did not pass. And one of the things I thought, I've tweeted a little bit about it, so if you want, you can go back and search on that. Just search for issue 1 and my name, Mark Noble. But yeah, it was interesting because the news media was reporting that it essentially got trounced. It was like something 70, let's just say 75% of the people. I don't know. I think it was actually like maybe 74 or something. I don't know. But about 75% of the people who showed up to vote in the special election, which was about 50,000 people total citywide, very low turnout. I think the turnout was about 6% of everyone who's able to vote. So anyway, that 74% was, the news articles led with, 74% of, say no to this measure. But that's really misleading because it was really 74% of like the 6%, or no, I think that's what it was. It was like, I think it was maybe 10% about showed up, and I think 6% was like 74% of that. Anyway, I don't have the math with me. I did the numbers. I can, if you really care about the details, which I mentioned the exact numbers in my tweets. But anyway, it just irritates me the way that the news media portrays this, because the reality is that, 90% of the people, I think well over 90% of the people in the city who were eligible to express an opinion on this didn't care enough to go out and vote about it. And that's one of the things I'd like to see going forward is kind of a none of the above option. That's one of the things that the Libertarian Party has. Anytime they do a poll internally, whether or not someone is going to take a role or whether or not there's going to be a bylaw change, they always have the option of neither, none of the above, NOTA, NOTA they call it. And that's what I really think they should have in cases like this, and in races where it's uncontested. I mean, a lot of times we have judges running for office, and they're, the judge, they don't even have to get half of the vote. They just, all they have to do really is show up, vote for themselves, and they win. And I really think that that's kind of mocking the spirit of democracy. I think that they should at least have to get 50% of the registered voters. Why not? I don't know. We can talk a little bit more about details if you have other opinions on that. But I mean, fundamentally, I think it's really important that people have the option to say very decisively no. Without, one option that people exercise all the time is to they just don't go to the polls, as what happened. But there's the thing is, that's what happened on Tuesday in this special election. The vast majority, over 90% of the registered voters in Columbus just didn't go to the polls. And so, they don't care. And but instead, the media is just taking a very small percentage of the population and attributing that slight majority of the people who showed up as the viewpoint of the city at large. So anyway, I just think that's a little irritating and needs to change. So anyway, I hope you guys are having fun with VEDA, and I hope to get a look at some of your videos, and that's going to be it for me today. Have a good one.